Ryan Neiman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 6:30.
WMAL. It's 8:07 on the Morning Majority. We have one of my favorite writers, Mark Steyn, with us today. How you doing, Mark?
Hey, I'm doing great, Mary Catherine. Great to talk with you.
So you wrote America Alone, The End of the World as We Know It, and now we have After America.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing you're funny, or else this would be a real downer, Mark. Tell me what it's about.
The next book will be, it's got to be double A, won't it? You never know, I might do it. If
double A plus.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of...
We're still better than China.
Yeah. Well, I was very grateful, actually, to S&P downgrading America to the initials of my book. You can't buy publicity like that. But yeah, you write the doom-mongering book not because you want it to happen. You want to prevent it happening.
Right.
But we don't have a lot of time left. I mean, we've got real structural problems, some of which we share with the rest of the Western world. But simply because the United States is bigger than Iceland and Portugal and Greece, they're going to be a lot worse than Iceland, Portugal, and Greece. When a nation as big as this slides off the cliff, it lands with a much bigger thud than Iceland does.
Well, the last book was about demographic issues. What are the structural issues specifically that you're talking about in this one? Well,
I think obviously, it starts with the money.
Right.
But the money, I think big government, and the debt and all the rest of it is only a symptom of the problem. I get very annoyed by sensible conservatives who think the trick is to balance the budget. No, it isn't. This stuff is wrong. The conservatives shouldn't be in the game of trying to make this stuff work, because as we see on the streets of London, the real evil of big government and so-called stimulus is not that it's a waste of money, but that it's a waste of lives. And these horrible zombie husks staggering through the streets of London, torching and looting, are the children of dependency, the children of welfare, people who've been marinated in stimulus every moment of their lives.
Let me ask you, there's this thing that happened yesterday in Iowa. I don't know if you've seen it or not, where Mitt Romney is sort of confronted by some 23-year-old Democratic activist at the Iowa State Fair, and he was attacking Romney's position of supporting corporations and not raising taxes on corporations. And Romney's answer, which has been very controversial in some circles, was, hey, corporations are people. His larger point that basically corporations provide money for families and that we should not necessarily look as corporations as evil entities. Your thoughts?
He's right. My problem with Mitt is that he has the core of the correct answer, and he doesn't always express it as well as he might. And the way, for example, the way I put it on this very point in the book is that there's really no such thing. A corporation can't pay taxes. A corporation is a building. A corporation is some letters of incorporation lying in the bottom of the desk drawer in the president's office. But every dollar that in tax that a corporation pays has to be fleshed out of the pocket of a real flesh and blood human being, whether that is a stockholder, whether that is an employee, whether that is a customer. So when you have Bozo the Clown in Iowa baying about how we have to get the evil corporations to pay taxes, the evil corporations don't pay $1 in tax. A human being. And Bozo may think it's just like wicked chief executives, because they have this deformed attitude that every businessman is like somehow hoarding their money, that they keep it in a warehouse of dollar bills somewhere. The only businessman who I know in the whole of American history who did that was Scrooge McDuck, who used to plow. He had a big warehouse, and he'd get in his bulldozer and plow the dollar bills back and forth.
And
but
swim.
Scrooge McDuck was the only businessman who's ever done that. 99.9999% of the other ones don't.
But he was very successful, you have to say. Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, for a while. I mean, he's dropped off there. I don't see him now.
Yeah, where did he go? I haven't seen him. His
Yeah.
nephews were around occasionally.
No, but Obama quotes Warren Buffett. Even Obama doesn't quote Scrooge McDuck. So I don't know. He's just dropped off the radar.
So let me get back to your point about how Republicans or conservatives even will say, "Hey, we need to balance the budget." And you say there are people in England right now swimming in stimulus. Are you suggesting that we need to pare back on all forms of entitlements? This is a big issue for Republicans. Do you say, hey, we really need to get rid of Social Security and Medicare, or do we just need to reform it? I mean, which way do we have to go?
Yeah, I think in the end, government needs to get out of people's lives because it basically, I think, severs the citizenry from lives of human dignity. In Britain, these idiots, I mean, people try to pretend, it's about jobs and opportunity. Look honestly at the people who are being interviewed in these riots in London. Would you honestly hire anyone? What could you hire them to do? In Britain, there is nothing you cannot get the government to pay for. Some of these people rioting, by the way, are officially classified as disabled because the Labour government found it convenient about 10 years ago, in order to make it appear as if they were reducing long-term unemployment, to reclassify healthy, able-bodied people as disabled. In other words, saying they were incapable of work, which they are in a sense. They're incapable of work, but they're actually very capable of rioting.
Right.
And there's nothing you can't get the government to pay for. The British government a couple of months ago paid for one of these allegedly disabled people to go to the Netherlands and have sex with a Dutch prostitute because that was something that qualified under a form of British welfare system.
Wow.
That enabled people to so-called fulfill their lives. I mean, honestly, if being paid by the British government to have sex with men is something that, to use the American expression, is one of the jobs that Britons won't do. If even that is to be outsourced to foreigners, there really isn't a lot to be said for the system.
Well, Mark, in the wake of these riots, or during the riots, I've seen some great viral videos, one of a grandma just going off on rioters about how irresponsible they are. Is there a chance of a backlash that could serve Britain and sort of bring them back from these ideas?
Well, I would like to think so, but I think this is really the natural endpoint of big government. We're at an earlier stage, so for us it's like, the Wall Street Journal, the financial channels. We're worried that we've debauched our nation's finances. Ultimately, you debauch your human capital, and you can do it very quickly across a couple of generations. If you read Hayek and The Road to Serfdom, which is a great work, but where it reads slightly dated is because all the virtues he saw in the British people when as an immigrant there in the 1940s have all but vanished now. And I think one way to look at it is if you look at the havoc that LBJ, the wickedness of what LBJ and the Democratic Party did to the black family with the Great Society, and imagine it applied to the general population, that's the scene you see on the streets of London.
Yep, and that's what I grew up with, which is what turned me into a conservative. Thank you for your scary warning, always with a dash of wit, Mark Steyn, this morning.
Very, very good stuff.